Keep it pyro.
It's PyroRadio.com and we're back. It's the Flip Life Radio Show.
And we have the exclusive.
The exclusive from the Grime for Corbyn team that has been like setting the internet and social media on fire the last few weeks. We've never had a guest in the first half of the show.
Never.
But we fitted this into the first half of the show because I think it's mad important.
Thank you.
So we've got Sofia and Kemmi.
Yeah.
What's good, girls?
You're right.
You're right.
Good.
Hello, ladies.
Can I clarify one thing?
Yeah.
You said a couple of times with the team behind.
Yeah, you're part of the team.
Yeah. We're two people.
Of a big team.
Yeah. Well, we probably will get to that. But so we can start with that. How many is there of you in the team?
Oh, it's getting bigger by the day, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'd say about
put a number on it. Should we not even put a direct?
Just a little less than 10 at the moment, but growing.
Okay, but
steadily.
it's growing, so it's an open thing that's growing and people are joining in. So I
And you're doing a lot of work. The 10 of you.
Oh my gosh, yes. I think it grows every day. Different people bring different things, different knowledge to the table. Yeah. So it's always seeking out the best person for the job, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, a big, very strong, very, very hard-working team at the moment. Yeah, it's long
Sick.
hours.
Well, we've been seeing the work. I suppose we'll take it back to the beginning. How did it all start?
I think we was inspired by like obviously the biggest names, like some of the biggest names in the grime scene, like obviously just like repping for Corbyn, like showing that support. And I think we just thought, like that's actually an overlap. That's a real overlap. Like we're not saying that everybody within grime thinks a certain way. But we're saying that there's an overlap between people that listen to grime and fully back Corbyn. And it's like, that is an actual thing. Like, that could be something. Like,
yeah, definitely. We noticed it as well. I think was it? Like, I suppose it started as a hashtag or was it a movement?
I think it was kind of all kicked off at the same time, almost. Like there was definitely like grime artists talking about Corbyn, and there was definitely beginning to be like a relationship between the two things. But I think the hashtag and the launch of the website almost happened simultaneously.
Who makes the memes?
they're just like
our secretary makes the memes.
Hey yo, we want the secretary up here. Can you bring this up? The memes are fire.
No, there's some fire ones. I had something written down about one of them at the end though, because there was a JME meme that was quoting AJ Tracy. I don't know if you guys made it or someone else.
No, that was Guardian. The Guardian did that. Yeah, because Jeremy tweeted me back about it because
he tweeted me about it as well.
He was like, I never said that. No, that was the Guardian. The Guardian just got a bit overexcited. Was it even a Guardian or Momentum? It was someone anyway on Twitter. No, I don't think it was Guardian. I think it was Momentum. But all I know is that somebody who obviously don't listen to grime.
Just to clarify, we don't falsify statements. So
no, of course.
It definitely was not us.
I fully shared it and I added him and I saw the original tweet, so I should have clocked, but I still went over my head and I was like, cool.
I clocked straight away. I was the one. I tweeted him and I was like, no, that was AJ Tracy. He was like, why are they quoting me saying this? I was like, no, they're confused with AJ Tracy fam. And he was like, oh word, that's what they've done. Kind of
straight. I left it and it still gets retweeted and all of that. Now I added him again. I was like, you know what? I support the message. So I'm just gonna leave it.
I left it. He's like, I left it. Like he knows it's a false quote and he doesn't care.
No, but we shared it like 3 times.
What got you guys wanting to support Corbyn yourselves?
Wow, there's lots of reasons personally for me, and I think that's the same for everyone in the team. A love for grime, a love for young people, a strong feeling that it's important for young people to be engaged in something that affects them in such a significant way. Like, I've been at that point in my life when I was just like, fuck it.
That's all right.
Sorry.
All right.
Like, I don't care. Nothing I do is going to change the situation. And I think, sometimes the change is not immediate, but you have to engage. Like, that's the most important thing. So I think for me, that's a really important part. Also, I think those two things together really. For me personally.
So what do you say? Go on.
Sorry. So like obviously when we were saying there's like a group of people behind Grime for Corbyn, some of them have like never voted before, not really that into politics. Like for me personally, to answer your question of why Corbyn? Like my dad's like a union man, innit? Like I was raised with like a certain kind of politics that said, for example, just to go back to like when we went to war with Iraq, like, I was raised with a certain kind of politics that was like, all of this is wrong. Like we don't have to have a tiny minority of people stockpiling wealth in offshore hedge funds while there's homeless people and people starving. Like when I was little and I'd be like, Dad, why is that happening on the news? My dad would always be like, because there's some rich people. Like literally as a kid, this is how I was raised. There's some rich people and they've taken everything, but don't worry, your daddy's working for a socialist. And I was raised like
that's
that.
That's the truth.
And my whole life, that's how I was raised.
Big up your dad though.
Yeah,
for real.
My dad. I was sending this podcast. Like, so that's how I was raised. So then that whole framework was never ever on the news, if you get what I'm trying to say. Like, so I feel like my whole life, everything I believed in was completely marginalised, completely ignored. And on top of that, I was in the hood. Like, on top of that, I was on benefits on a cancer estate. So I just felt like I was invisible in a way. Because if you remember back in the day, like before Dizzy, there was no real representation of the hood on telly, if you get what I'm trying to say. Like, it wasn't even on the news. Like, they didn't even cover. I remember when they started covering muggings, like it was a thing. Like, there wasn't even negative portrayals, is what I'm saying. It wasn't even negative portrayals.
We weren't even in the bill.
We just didn't get me. Like, it's like we didn't exist.
Yeah, for real.
I remember when I went uni and I started talking about like the ends, and everyone was like, Sophia, I think you've been watching too many American movies. There's no gun crime in England. Like, people have said that to me. And I'm like, right, so you're telling me I've made up my whole child? Do you know what I'm trying to say? So what I'm trying to say is I felt doubly like marginalised. I felt like I was being told I didn't exist all the time, both politically and also culturally. And then Corbyn came, obviously Grime came along and like, I felt like, that was empowering. And then obviously, like when Corbyn got, when we heard that there was someone with Corbyn's politics running for leadership of the Labour Party, I was just like, this is mad. Like, someone who actually...
So from early on you was down with it?
Yeah, I was, I heard about it from early. And and so now he's leading everything and got voted twice. And I feel like, wow, like for the first time in my life, there's somebody in the political establishment who actually stands for basic humanity, like stands for not killing people, not invading other countries, you know what I mean? Like redistributing wealth so that the poor can eat and live in houses. Like, this is basic stuff. But we've been told for decades that you're crazy if you think like that. Do you get me? And now, like, we've got a voice.
It's interesting how you put them both, like how Grime's just coming into the spotlight and also how Corbyn's just coming into the spotlight, and you've had both of them in your life for years. It's interesting. No, for real though, same way, isn't it? Yeah, I see what you're saying, 100%.
Do you think it's important, obviously you guys are repping for Corbyn, but do you think it's important we're talking about young people being engaged? Should they just be engaged in general and vote? If he wasn't running, would you say people should be voting?
I think, I think they should. I can't say just engage, I think this person is the person that is the most representative of a certain group of people and speaks for this group that is marginalised, like Soph said. But, to answer your question, I definitely think that young people should be engaged, but they have to engage with something they relate to. And I feel like this is the first opportunity where they've been given somebody that they can relate to, somebody that they can say, the things you're talking about are things that I understand and things that are relevant to my lifestyle and what I'm doing. And I think, definitely 100% you should be engaged.
Do you think that they are?
For the most part, I think so. I think it takes time. I don't think it happens overnight. I was not engaged. I didn't just wake up one day. It's like, politics. Okay, I know everything. Like, first of all, it's a massive learning. Like, you have to learn. Like, even the language of politics. Like, you have to understand it. And it doesn't happen overnight at all. I've got a little cousin I bumped into the other day. He's 19, and I was like, "Did you register?" He's like, "No, what am I going to register for?" And I was like, that's not what you're supposed to say. Like, you're supposed to say, of course I did. But, it takes time. It's a learning at the end of the day. And I think, wisdom comes with age. So, catch them while they're like, on that cusp. And then by the time they are able to vote, they can do what they need to do.
How do we get them engaged now? I suppose we can't encourage them to register anymore. So how do we get them engaged in general?
That's not the only form of political engagement. Obviously, probably in this room, people probably read Carla's article about Corbyn.
Definitely.
And big up Carla. And he was obviously saying that like he's never voted before, but he's been very politically active. You know what I'm trying to say? And I could definitely relate to that. Like, there's not only going into put that little cross in the ballot box, that's definitely not the only way to be engaged in politics. Like, you can get involved in politics through if you're still at college or if you're going uni, there's always a lot of opportunities through educational institutions to go to events or to organise talks and to invite speakers and that. So the educational setting is a good one for that. In your workplace, same way. Like, there's always conversations. I've never heard of a workplace yet where it's not like, so wait a sec, the manager's on grade 10, but he only comes in 2 days a week and she's been on grade 3 for some Every workplace I've ever worked in,
politics.
People don't realise what politics is.
You know what I'm trying to say? So every single workplace, there's always times there's always opportunities to engage in organising. You know what I'm trying to say? Obviously, unions historically, but also it doesn't have to be like that official. You know what I'm trying to say? And then obviously what Kemmi said, like educating yourself. Like, you can, a lot of my political education, aside from like obviously the way I was raised, but then obviously now it's just online all the time. Like following people like a Carla. You know what I'm trying to say? And just read, because Carla goes in. Like, if you just follow Carla and just read the books, like 1 out of every 100 books he tells you to read, you'll be getting self-educated. And that's a man who's taught himself.
Yeah,
You know what I'm trying to say?
I think for young people, it is self-education. Unless you're brought up in a certain, specific group or whatever, politics is not a part of your life. For me, growing up, my mum never spoke about politics. She was voting Green Party all the time because she was just like, I don't believe anything anyone else says. But one thing I do know is that the environment is a very important thing that we need to look after. Like, do you know what I mean? So I think I was never brought up talking about politics. I don't have a family that are extremely political, but I learn. And so once you get to that point where you are learning and you are taking things in, like you said, it's self-learning. You have to just open your eyes and ears.
So
that's good advice. A lot of artists have spoken out, like you said, Carla, novelist, JME. JME got in a lot of trouble. Do you think artists are scared to speak out now since?
100% know for a fact that I don't think the man would use the word scared.
I'm shook.
Reject. No.
Well, I'm Bambi though.
No. I'm definitely not going to go on saying any of them words. What I will say is that I definitely know for a fact that man in the scene are just seeing what happened with the Daily Mail, sending for Jeremy, and they're like, I think it's a good cause, like direct quote. You get me? So it's a good cause, but like after I see what they done to Jamie, like I'm just gonna like allow it. Like, you get me? I'm not even showing my face.
Man, are fraggles for the press, yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I replied like, so what? Ain't all publicity? Like, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
That was kind of bad publicity.
But he didn't even. He told us, his followers, to stop sending for the Daily Mail. He was like, "Use lot. I'm not gonna get dropped from a label. Nobody manages me. I've not got an album to put." He said, "It's calm." He was like, funny about Jamie is that his soul is so pure. Like, Jamie's the kind of man, like, he doesn't really get rattled. I've never seen him really get rattled. He'll just block you, obviously, if you know him. But he was calm, He was just like, let them send if they want to send out of it. But like you said, it did have that knock-on effect, because I know for a fact other men are thinking, no, I don't really want to take on the Daily Mail right now. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And obviously, I see it as this is the time. Do you get me? With Brexit and the way the world is going right now. You mentioned the environment as well. Like, I feel like we're in a very, 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 very peak times, and people can look back throughout history and say, people always thought it was peak. People thought it was peak in the 60s because of nuclear war, and people thought it was peak in the 80s because of the other Gulf War, and people can say like, nah, that's just. But I feel particularly now, stuff is getting very, very peak. It's peak in the ends.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? It's peak globally. We got resource wars. We got this, that, and the other going on. And so if there is a time to stand up, it's now. So I'm thinking, if you're not going to stand up now, when you've got Brexit and you don't want to have your voice, so when are you ever going to stand up?
So you don't think their fear is valid at all?
No, of course, like, obviously, no, of course. Like,
because you think some of them got things in their closet bigger than just shit they said on...
the Twitter. Fully. Like, obviously, we're talking a lot of these.
We have to remember, like, Daily Mail needs stories. Like, they'll find a story, like, no matter what. So,
but even before the Daily Mail thing, like, I've been involved in the Rise Up campaign and other things. I think a lot of people have been scared. Like, they just probably saw that coming. You know what I mean?
No, it's definitely valid. Like, I don't want to downplay it. Like, it's easy for me to, like, especially if man got a public. I said that at the time. I replied and I was like, like, obviously I haven't got a public profile like you have. I haven't got a public profile that you have. Like, so it's easy for me to talk out the things. My bills are not dependent on getting bookings from agents. So obviously, do what you got to do. Look after yourself. But that very narrow-minded, I've got to pay my bills and I've got to look after my family. That very nuclear, insular kind of like individual mentality. That's why we're in this mess. Because we don't have that sense of community.
But that's what we've learned from. That's what we've learned from higher up, and we end up kind of living like that within our own kind of thing. But do you think, I suppose we could take it wider, do you think artists in general, whether it be Grime or whoever, social, public figures, have a responsibility to address social issues in general?
Yes, because they're affected by them. And the ones that don't, I'm kind of concerned about where they're, like, I do feel like if you don't talk on something, and like Soph said, there's certain things they're relying on to pay their bills, to make their fortunes, whatever they're doing, which I totally respect. But I feel like we're all affected. So to act like something is not affecting you, and to not use that platform, in a way that can engage people, especially your target audience, especially if they're an unengaged audience, I think it's really important.
I hear you.
They are, so the ones that say that they're not gonna talk on it, or the ones that say that they're not gonna take a political stance, that in itself is a political stance. The idea that you cannot, the idea that you can, for example, live in the West. Like, say if we're talking about artists that live in the West, the idea that you can live in the West, a part of the world that has developed its wealth and maintains its wealth through the exploitation of the rest of the world, and say I'm not gonna be political. It's like every day you wake up in the morning in a house that has electricity and running water. Like you're not outside
to politics.
like, please don't act like you're outside.
No,
Where do you think you're living? But you think you're living like floating in space, not affected by any other power relations on the planet. Like you're fully political. So and also like all of the artists that say this, I'm teething from I'm going to teeth some Akala bars now, right? Akala says the artists that say no, fam, I'm not political, but they promote drinking a certain alcohol and driving a German car and wearing Italian brands. It's like, so hold on.
Shots.
What?
That was quite specific, but sorry.
Because I said German whip. I love that track. I love that track. Listen, that's a banger. No shots fired whatsoever.
I love that whip.
Like, listen, I'm wearing Jordans right now. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? This is all full of contradictions. Like, I'm not. It's not like I'm out here.
No, they're dope as well. They're dope.
Thank you. Like, so I'm not. So I would be a complete hypocrite if I tried to say. All I'm trying to say is that that promotion of a particular type of consumerism is extremely political. In fact, it's an advertisement for consumer capitalism, which is the particular type of economic political system we live under. So to then say, so to then say, oh, I'm not political, it's like, bruv, you're advertising for the whole political system and then saying you're not political. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But then when people like me, like people who've got like views like Akala, actively like politicize it, and people are like, oh, that's that political rap. It's like, oh, everything's political.
You know, you just answered the question. We had that written down already. Grime?
Is Grime political?
Is Grime a political movement?
Yeah. Like, so obviously for me, like obviously, so I grew up in. Like, I remember when Grime was developing, if that makes sense. So I was looking into the Rinse and Deja sets in. This is going to expose my age because I was listening back in 2002. I was looked in. I got the tape.
I was old then, man.
So I was kind of in as it was developing. And I would 100% say, yeah, it was political. I'm not saying that the man would describe it as that at the time, but for me, like even just the way it evolved, like on sound systems that had been like set up by like the Caribbean community and stuff like that, like and that, a lot of the raves that took, the first like garage raves that took place places like Palace Villian and Stratford Rex as they were back then. Most of the raves were kind of like yardie, like and Rasta raves and like kind of thing. Yeah. And like the Rastas, like that kind of community has always brought politics into it as well. Like talking about burning down Babylon and everything. Like that's a political statement right there. You know what I'm trying to say? So the Caribbean influence, I think, and then like the dancehall culture influence on Grime, I think that had a bit of a political like side
definitely.
to it.
I think it's politics naturally, like you said before. I've always felt that.
Because when you're talking about your area and where you're from, there's a debate. Politics anyway.
Just to take it somewhere else for 1 second, there's a debate we've been having on the show for a while, and we don't really have much Grime people come up here and speak about it. And we're trying to.
Oh yeah.
Is Grime hip hop?
No, it's not.
Why
it's not hip hop because it's a totally different genre.
Why?
For what I just said, first of all, because of the whole 140 BPM. Like,
is it man spitting on beats?
There's Grime.
Okay, so it depends how general you want to take it. It depends how general you want to take it, right? If you want to say, is it a genre in which somebody spits over a beat, and if that's how you define hip hop, and that's how you want to define Grime, and you want to be that general about it, then fine. But if you want to talk about an actual, like, it's got a totally different set of conventions, isn't it? Like, I know man who think that Stormzy ain't a Grime MC because he's never done a radio set. Like, that's how deep some people take it. Obviously, I would never say that. I think Stormzy's one of the greatest.
That's Grime man saying that.
Yeah, that's Grime man saying that. Yeah,
because he's.
But he come up.
But I would never say that. I would never say that. To me, he's one of the best Grime MCs of all time. I would never ever say that. I'm just saying that there's a scene in it, so it evolved in a certain way in it. Like Grime evolved where you were spitting on radio and you was doing. It's a very live genre. It's a genre that always existed live.
But that's the same story.
That's the same story with hip hop, but it's in a different context, isn't it? Like
so it's in a
totally different country.
What different context?
And so
it's in the hood, isn't it? Like just
it's in the hood.
Area,
no, there's parallels. There's fully parallels. Like obviously at the start, I used to think, this is the UK like hip hop. This is our hip hop evolving. But now I look at it and the influence of jungle. Like if you talk to all of the best,
jungle comes from hip hop though.
Jungle comes from hip hop.
Jungle is like the break beat.
Jungle is like
directly. That's a direct line. Are you sure?
Yeah. Not only.
It don't come from dance.
Not only. It comes from both. And Grime definitely comes from both. But jungle's more direct. Like the breakbeat, it's like you know they press 45 on the thing and play the.
Oh, the thing, man, get technical.
Play the. I'm not really DJing. I'm here fronting, but and then they sped up the breaks, and that's kind of how they started sampling basically the hip hop songs or the same kind of breaks what it comes from hip hop.
But then what about the UK garage thing though? Like
UK garage is its own thing that kind of comes from America as well though. But
saying
through the
so
house
many
scene.
controversial things, you know. Like he's saying so many
garage music. Like garage music comes from America, and then UK garage was its own version of it. Kind of like, I don't know, I would say grime is
like
the version of hip-hop.
The Detroit house, you're talking about Detroit house and all that, innit?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I don't think it's a genre. I don't think grime is a genre, sub-genre. I don't think it's hip-hop.
I think it's both.
I think it's its own genre.
What do you think?
I agree.
Okay.
Well, there we are.
To summarise, I am in agreement.
Grime and Corbyn stick together on these issues. We like
Hell
that.
yeah, we do.
Because they're from Grime, innit? They have to say that. What did you expect?
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you something else. Can Tories be mandem?
No way.
That's a trick question.
Nah. Like, do you mean Tory politician? Like Tory politician?
Can someone that is a Tory,
Like a
just
Tory
wants to vote for Tory,
as in a Tory voter,
believes in what Tories believe?
So if you're saying can the man then vote Tory, then obviously they can. Did you see that tweet that went viral? It was like man go to the shard in one suit and all of a sudden start voting Tory. There was a tweet that went viral. Like, so obviously people from the hood can have. To me, it can go one of two ways, innit? A lot of people from the ends can have a very aspirational, because the ends is so, like, I don't know how other people have experienced, I don't talk about other people, but for me, living in ends was very traumatic. People kept getting shot, like, people kept dying and shit, and there was a lot going on, like, there was a lot of violence, and I wanted to get out of there. Do you know what I mean? There was, like, red ants climbing on my wall. It was mad. I didn't like how I was living, like, I didn't like it. Do you know what I'm saying?
The red ants is a Hackney thing, yeah?
It's actually a Tottenham thing too, because I have red ants still climbing on my wall.
That little line, they just
managed to get out of the council estate.
No, we're still there, but my part of North, we ain't got no red ants. All right, so black.
But black ones, they're dangerous, but...
Oh, that's what they say on the news. The Daily Mail was trying to tell you about the black ants. They don't tell you about the red ants.
Don't take it there.
Political. But yeah, so what I'm trying to say is most people's, Master P says this as well, he says most people's natural response to being in the hood is to want to get out. That can go from in my opinion, that can go for one of two ways. It can either go aspirational, and it can be like, okay, I want to get out of the hood, therefore I'm going to start voting Tory, I'm going to start wearing boat shoes and like them funny yellow trousers and do you know what I mean, polo shirts. I'm going to start to act like them people that have got money and maybe
polo shirts.
And maybe one day I'll be rich too. Do you know what I mean? Like if I vote like them and I act like them and I work really, really hard, I can be a millionaire, because this magical system we live under, if you work hard, you become a millionaire. Some people think like that. Do you know what I mean? Big up anyone listening who thinks like that. Like, okay, fine. I don't know where the like actual evidence is for thinking that, because I know a lot of people that work very hard, 3-4 jobs, and they ain't millionaires. You know what I'm trying to say? And I also went uni with people that are millionaires and they were just born rich and they ain't ever worked a day in their life. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So that doesn't seem evidence to me. Then the other way it can go, rather than just I want to get out of the hood, I want to try and get rich, the other way you can react to wanting to get out of the hood is to want to like overthrow the whole system that creates hoods in the first place. And that's where the boy Corbyn comes in. Do you get me? That's where socialism comes in. And it's like, actually, rather than just me as an individual wanting to get me and my family out of the hood, what about if we redistributed wealth by taxing the rich so that we can invest and build housing and, you know what I mean, get rid of all of those social problems and social inequalities that caused the hood in the first place. And like, obviously, so your original question, can men be so it depends how you're responding to that initial experience of poverty and inequality. Are you just gonna, as an individual, want to get out of it, or do you want to just make everybody get free? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I hear you.
So they can be, man, them can be Tories.
Yeah, of course they can. Man, them can believe anything.
Would you link one?
No? You actually mad? No way, like, nah.
What if you found out like further down the line?
Nah.
What if you had already fallen in love with him?
My dad would never accept it. Let's just clarify.
Can you imagine? No way. Like,
you're lost.
No way. I would rather do you know what? I would rather a guy who's like, no, so if I don't trust politicians. I would rather a guy.
Yeah, there's loads of those.
I would rather a guy who doesn't listen. Like this is like obviously a bit controversial, but seeing as the voter registration deadline's passed, I will admit that I would rather a guy who doesn't vote at all than a guy who votes Tory.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I'm sorry, but absolutely bun Tories. Like, absolutely bun them. I would never, ever.
What about Lib Dem?
Nah, Lib Dem, same way. They jumped into bed with the Tories in that coalition. That was the fastest formed coalition in British history, mate. Absolutely bun the Lib Dems. Fib Dems, they lied about that. I will never forgive them. They lied about that. Oh, sorry, babe. They lied about that tuition fees thing, and I'll never forgive them. Bun the Fib Dems and the Tories.
Bun the Tories. Is that another movement, Bun the Tories? Or is that just something? I've seen it about a lot.
Hashtag, I think.
Just a hashtag.
Yeah, I think so.
Is Corbyn going to win?
Yeah, I obviously think he will. Like, I don't want to say he will. I hope he will, innit? I hope he will. Like, obviously, I don't know how many of those 2 million people have registered to vote for the first time. I don't know how many of them are going to vote for him. I'm guessing most of them, because otherwise, why didn't they vote in the last election? It doesn't really make sense. So I googled the how close the last election was, and I reckon that 2 million could swing it. If all that 2 million vote for him, that fully could swing it. Obviously, I don't know. I can't see into the future. Like with Brexit vote, I knew, when I went in and voted Brexit, I turned to the women in the polling station. I was like, the effing UKIPs have won it. Like I just felt it in my soul that we'd look. Like I knew, it was happening.
Yeah, I'm feeling positive. I definitely am feeling like I have always followed my gut instinct, and my gut instinct is telling me some good things.
I've been feeling that as well. I've been saying it. I've been saying it on social media. Then I have little moments where I'm like,
I kind of think that's because the media's been wrong about everything, and they're saying
exactly.
Lose. Like if they get it right this one time in the last 10 years, it would be amazing. That would be more amazing. So.
Yeah.
All right, the campaign, Grime for Corbyn. Let's get back to it. We're having too much fun. What's actually the plan? What's going on? You've got some events going on.
Yes, we do. We cannot disclose any information. One thing I can say is that the ticket entry draw closes in about 16 minutes.
Oh gosh, we should have said that at the beginning.
We should have said that at the beginning. We really should have.
Yeah, well, it takes about 30 seconds. So if you want a chance of winning a ticket to come to the event, then you have 15 minutes to
go
enter
to
the ticket draw.
Grimeforcorbyn.com.
And all you have to do is enter your details, and you'll be put into a database.
And there's going to be a secret event.
Some technical stuff that happens.
How do we get something else out?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Like
So
they come all the way up here, you know what I'm saying, to talk about this event, and they're going to tell us nothing.
No.
Nothing at all.
Just going to dangle the cherry like. No, we unfortunately cannot share.
Is it
but
just
there's information coming
event,
soon, don't worry.
Event or more than one event?
You'll find out over the weekend.
Over the weekend?
Over the weekend. There's some
so
information.
next week, people, we will let you know.
So where should they be looking for the information?
They should be going to Grime for Corbyn Instagram, Grime for Corbyn Twitter page, and keep an eye on the website.
The Grime for Corbyn Instagram is hilarious.
I told you, we'll get the secretary in here.
The Tory Jesus stuff was, you lot was trying to kill me.
What?
So the ats on all the socials are just at Grime for Corbyn.
For the number 4.
Yeah. Come. What's next? What's next after this? Like, say Corbyn wins the election or he doesn't. Can this movement continue and do further things?
Yes, I definitely think so. I think going back to what we've discussed at the beginning of the show, like engaging young people is the most important thing. Like we really want all these young people to really know about the details of what is affecting them, the details of how they can be engaged, and the details of what they can do to change certain circumstances that they may be in. So I feel like regardless of who wins the election, obviously hopefully Corbyn, regardless of who wins it, I think it's to get all these people kind of focused on politics is what we really, really want to do, basically.
Sick. And you've done a good job of it so far.
What other issues do you think? Okay, go on.
No, I'm interrupting. Go on.
No, say what you was going to say.
I was going to say, I don't know if you heard of Angela Davis, but she was involved in the Black Panthers and that. She's Google her. It's worth.
I read the autobiography.
Oh, have you? Sick autobiography. She's got a good book called Women, Race and Class as well. Changed how I thought on quite a few things. And basically, I saw a lecture with her talking about Obama. And basically, someone was like, "Oh, what went wrong?" kind of thing. That could have been a very positive movement. All the hopeful stuff he was saying, and he didn't really get to deliver on a lot of the stuff that we were looking for him to deliver on. And she said the problem is that we all got active with the voter drives and registration, and we got all of this brilliant community activity. She said, and then as soon as he got elected, we all sat down and just expected him to do it all by himself, and we didn't keep organising. She said the failure was on us for that we stopped organising, and that proper stuck with me. So what I'm hoping is that regardless of the outcome of the election, again, hopefully it's a victory for the people's. Hopefully it's a landslide victory for the people's champion. That's what we're hoping. But regardless of the outcome, we need to, as Kemmi said, stay organised. You know what I'm trying to say? Because there's a lot of divide and rule. There's a lot of let's get this group of people to blame that group of people so that they don't blame the politicians and the rich who've created this mess. Or let's get this group of people so disempowered and depressed that they don't even engage anymore because they're like, this is all mad, I can't change anything. And there's a lot of that kind of disempowerment, disengagement, these scapegoating and stuff. Whereas I feel like these kinds of organisations, like we were saying before, it can be around workplace, it can be around community, it can be around housing, or do you know what? It can be around music. We can actually organise around cultural things as well. As long as as we're together and we're organised, then we're unstoppable. Do you know what I mean? They can't ignore us. Like,
man. That's exactly what I was going to ask you. You answered it anyway. I was going to ask you what other issues can like Grime work on. Like what other issues? Like you just mentioned like 8 of them. So there you go. That's great.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, if Corbyn gets in, he's going to be facing a lot of like animosity for some of the things he's trying to bring forward, even in the House of Parliament and to the other people he's dealing with. So as a people, we kind of got to get behind him and have an uproar when them things don't happen. Like as a country, social media, whether it's all those kind of ways, man. But big up for coming through.
Thank you for having us.
Grimeforcorbyn.com. Make sure you go and check that out and stay up with what they've been.
The belly laughs.
I think our social media consultant has got rid of the memes. No, it's fine. Okay. They're on Twitter. Twitter's still got the memes.
Because all the memes. Everything got took off of the Instagram. I noticed that the other day.
It's about to go down. Just keep an eye on it.
Just go and follow it. It's
There's politics in the politics. Oh no.
It's the Flip Life Radio Show, PyroRadio.com, and we'll be back on the other side.
Bring out Kemmi and Sofia.
Done, no.
Keep it pyro.